whole video out. I don't have it, or I would myself. You know what happened, and you're trying to manipulate the media.
Have you ever made 300 million in one night? Have you ever made 100 million in one night? Have you ever made 70 million in one night?
I guarantee you, every team know exactly how much money you got. Why you think they know that y'all can't wait them out when it comes to strike? Because they know how much you spend.
Shannon didn't mince words when he called out Floyd, accusing him of going bankrupt and allegedly dodging the feds. He claimed Floyd's flashy lifestyle was just a smokescreen, designed to cover up his financial troubles, and even accused him of using the media to distract from his downfall.
Have it, or I would myself. You know what happened, and you're trying to manipulate the media.
Despite being one of the wealthiest athletes in history, Floyd Mayweather now finds himself caught up in financial troubles that are becoming increasingly hard to ignore. From lingering tax issues with the IRS to reckless spending habits that many view as irresponsible, Floyd's situation reveals a troubling paradox: a man with millions in the bank who still struggles to manage his wealth wisely. This reality has sparked serious concerns about his financial decisions, personal choices, and what the future holds for him.
Floyd Mayweather just signed a deal to lease an apartment in Midtown Manhattan. He's going to be paying $100,000 per month for this place. Here's the apartment, you guys. It's got 5 bedrooms, 7 bathrooms, 4,000 square feet, and the place is pretty epic, I'm not gonna lie. The description says that this is a double unit and it is a corner unit, so you got a ton of natural light in here. Do you think this place is worth $100,000 per month? Why would Floyd spend $100,000 a month on this apartment? If I had to guess, it would be a combination of owning something is just kind of a liability. Plus, I'm pretty sure whenever you rent a place versus buy a place for business purposes, you're able to write off more of that lease payment. So if I had to guess, that $100,000 per month is going to be a pretty big write-off for him based on how he plans to use this place.
One of the most significant financial hurdles Floyd Mayweather has faced is his ongoing battle with the IRS. He's been accused of owing over $22 million in unpaid taxes dating back to 2015. In response, the IRS filed a federal tax lien against him in an effort to recover the debt. Mayweather attempted to petition the U.S. tax court for a temporary reprieve, claiming that his assets were tied up and largely illiquid. He requested more time to pay off the debt, but the IRS denied his installment request, arguing that he had more than enough liquid assets to settle the bill immediately.
It looks like he's filed a petition with the United States tax court saying that much of his money is tied up and cannot be easily converted into the cash that he needs to pay those taxes. And so for that reason, he's asking for a short-term installment agreement, and that's going to allow him more time to get the cash. Right, and according to the Law 360 report, here's a direct quote. Although the taxpayer has substantial assets, those assets are restricted and primarily illiquid. So the taxpayer has a significant liquidity event scheduled in about 60 days from which he intends to pay the balance of the 2015 tax liability.
Despite these serious financial issues, Mayweather has continued to make headlines for his lavish spending. In one of his latest high-profile moves, he reportedly purchased a $42 million building, a claim that quickly drew skepticism from former rival and rapper 50 Cent, who publicly questioned the legitimacy of the purchase and hinted it might be just another attempt to maintain a flashy image amid financial turmoil.
Boxing news. The beef between 50 Cent and Floyd Mayweather is heating up again. 50 Cent posted a video calling out Floyd's claim of spending $400 million on NYC apartments, saying there's no proof of the purchase. The long-running feud continues, with 50 Cent suggesting Floyd's real estate empire may be a fancy fantasy. Floyd has remained silent, but the drama shows no signs of ending.
50 Cent has publicly cast doubt on the alleged $42 million purchase, stating there's no proof of the deal and insinuating that Mayweather is simply capping, lying to maintain his image. His remarks have raised serious questions about the legitimacy of Floyd's investments and whether he's actually managing his finances responsibly or just putting on a show to distract from deeper financial troubles.
Did Floyd Mayweather make a good real estate deal? Let's break it down really quick so you can understand. Yes, the fuck he did. Let's start off with the purchase price. He bought 1,000 units for $402 million. What's the math? 402 million. Let's say 400 million divided by 1,000 units. That's what, people? $400,000, okay? Follow me. Now, rent in New York is about $3,000 to $4,000 for a 2 or 3 bedroom. Crazy, I know. That's how they living, though. Now, keep up. $400,000. What's 1% of 400,000? All right, that's $4,000. In real estate, there's something called the 1% rule, which means if something is 1% of the purchase price in rent, that means it is a cash flowing possibility, opportunity. So he has a cash flowing property straight out the gate. We're not going to mention the hundreds of millions of dollars in tax exemptions he will get for this property. It's a win for Floyd. He doesn't lose.
Floyd's relationship with money seems to go beyond financial success. It borders on obsession. He's frequently seen in public carrying bags of cash, flaunting his wealth at every turn. In one infamous incident, Floyd was caught on camera continuously counting stacks of money during a match, completely ignoring the fight happening right in front of him. While some see this as a display of his success, others view it as troubling behavior that raises legitimate concerns about his mental health and his deeper connection to money.
He might be one of the greatest boxers ever, but this is weird as hell. Now I know this guy has an obsession with money. He didn't get the name Money Mayweather for no reason. But after a bit, you've got to start to question this guy's sanity. And especially if you're doing it at an NBA game, where that seat should be your friend, your spouse, a parent. You've got to start raising some flags about this guy's well-being. Because instead, he took a bag of money with him to keep him company at an NBA game. Now, this app, and even people in my space, some of them, their personality is all about money. If they couldn't mention that they were a millionaire or they had money, they'd be the driest person on here. Their whole personality is all about this. And I don't know, as a grown man, why the hell, or should I say how the hell, did that even cross your mind?
Floyd's financial struggles haven't just made headlines, they've also become a target for ridicule from his rivals. UFC star Conor McGregor and UFC President Dana White have both openly mocked Mayweather over his tax troubles. In one interview, they even joked about how hard it is to climb out of such deep financial holes, adding insult to injury and further fueling the narrative that Floyd's money problems are catching up with him.
Training hard. Did Floyd not take out his own jets?
Floyd's got 3.
So
Floyd's got the one that he got, and he got 2
tax
others.
problems. That's what he's got. Oh, no.
That's Lord.
That's heavy shit. That is heavy shit.
It's hard to get out from underneath that.
Fucking right it is, especially when I'm on top of you.
In response, Floyd brushed off the criticism, boldly stating that he does numbers and makes money regardless of the circumstances, even going so far as to admit he can't read. While this deflection may have been an attempt to minimize his financial issues, it only fueled the perception that his wealth isn't necessarily built on smart financial decisions. Instead, it reinforced the idea that his success is more a product of luck and clever manipulation of public perception than true financial acumen.
We're not talking about being at the top 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, mother 21 years. Yeah, and I said, I'm the mother that can't read. I do numbers, I make money. You know my middle name. You own money. I do. P-Dot, let me see the bag.
When a reporter compared Conor McGregor to Floyd Mayweather, calling him the Floyd Mayweather of MMA, Floyd became furious. He dismissed McGregor's success, claiming he'd never heard of Conor being undefeated or making $30 million in a single fight. This reaction revealed Floyd's deep jealousy and arrogance, as he couldn't tolerate any comparison to another fighter's success. It also highlighted his insecurity and a refusal to acknowledge anyone surpassing him, showing just how protective he is of his own legacy.
Like if he's like the Floyd Mayweather of the MMA, the UFC.
I didn't know Conor McGregor was undefeated, but I didn't know that he had a reign in MMA for 20 years and undefeated, and was world champion in 5 different weight classes. That's something I didn't know.
Yeah.
So I guess you guys telling me something new. If you say he's the Floyd Mayweather of the MMA.
Well, do you know?
I mean, if you say he's the Floyd Mayweather of the MMA, I'm trying to find out. Have you ever made $300 million in one night? Have you ever made $100 million in one night? Have you ever made $70 million in one night? So, as far as trying to say that he's the Floyd Mayweather of MMA, I mean, it's okay to just to say it, but it's not true. I'm a legend, a living legend. You know, I gave to the sport of boxing. I gave years and years of hard work. It was blood, sweat, and tears. I had a tremendous team. I had a tremendous run. I think that it's time for Conor McGregor need to go out there and do what he do. But never compare Conor McGregor to me. That's a total disrespect.
Well,
I mean, once again, I'm an elephant. Elephant don't beef with ants. You know, elephant is so large he don't even see ants.
Floyd Mayweather's obsession with wealth isn't the only thing impacting his relationships. He's also been accused of harboring jealousy toward other fighters, including his own protege, Gervonta Tank Davis. According to 50 Cent, Floyd's jealousy toward Tank's rising star is one of the reasons he doesn't share the spotlight, even when Tank is making major strides in the sport. This dynamic has raised questions about Floyd's ability to support and mentor others without feeling threatened by their success.
I want to talk this Tank Davis fight, and I want to talk 50 and Mayweather. 50 said that Tank better get away from old boy because Mayweather got a jealous heart and Mayweather only wants himself to win. I found that, you know, I think that was 50's IG, I think. You know what I'm saying? I think that was one of his posts. IG, Twitter, I don't know which one. But
every fighter who has left Floyd Mayweather's promotion has done so because of his toxic behavior. His jealousy, even toward his own fighters, has led to deep fractures within his team. Floyd's inability to support others' success, coupled with his controlling nature, has pushed them away, creating an environment where it's difficult for anyone to thrive outside of his spotlight. This has contributed to a growing list of fighters who've walked away from his promotion, citing personal issues with his management style and approach.
What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Rich back with another one. Now, everybody is talking about how Floyd Mayweather is losing all his fighters. Gervonta Davis just put out a tweet saying that he stopped Shakur Stevenson from signing with Floyd because Floyd was setting him up for failure. Now, I'm a big Floyd Mayweather fan and supporter, and I love Tank. But, you know, a lot of times us fans don't really know what goes on behind the scenes, and if all this stuff they saying about Floyd Mayweather is true, it's sad because I feel like it take away from his career, his character as a person, because we see him in the ring, we see how head-driven he is, we see how confident he is, and we see how he's the greatest in the ring, but a lot of times that stuff don't be carrying on to different people's characters. So y'all let me know what y'all think about this. Y'all think Floyd just think about himself and don't really care about his fighters? Do you think everything that people are saying about Floyd is true, or you think they just adding a little sauce to it, that over-exaggerating?
The biggest news over the weekend to me was letting Ellaby and Floyd Mayweather parting ways. I just was in girls' collection a week and a half ago, and them niggas was in the club together. So to see Leonard Ellaby, who started off, as far as I know, I'm not even talking about Grand Rapids, Michigan, or anything else when they growing up. He started off in the corner with Floyd. Not his main trainer or anything like that, but you know, the nigga who get the water, the towel, and he started off a corner man to become the guy who actually started helping him run Mayweather promotion.
Floyd Mayweather has effectively built a reputation as Money Mayweather, a nickname that symbolizes his immense financial success and larger-than-life persona. However, this image has been carefully crafted through trash-talking and manipulating public perception. By positioning himself as the villain in the boxing world, Floyd capitalized on fans' desire to see him lose. People paid to watch him fight, whether to witness his victory or his defeat, and Floyd used this demand to his advantage, turning every fight into a spectacle and ensuring that his name was always at the center of attention.
Pretty Boy Floyd. You see, in boxing, usually people have like an alter ego, the character they play. He had to change his character from Pretty Boy Floyd to Money because Pretty Boy Floyd had a problem. You need to listen. Now, the problem was he was tiny. But more than that, his hands were tiny. Now, I don't know much about JB, but I know he ain't big. And them boy got the same frame. That's twinning him. Now, let me be more specific. It wasn't his hands so much that were tiny. It's that they were brittle. It's believed to be genetic because his dad broke his hand and his uncle broke his hand. Yeah, they were all boxers and them boys could throw hands. But that does not mean he had it easy. You see, his dad sold a bunch of stuff and his mom did a bunch of stuff. So to escape his traumatic childhood, all he would do is train day in and day out. He said, I had to take care of my mom. But he trained so much because it's all he knew that his hand started to hurt. Now, during a match, he breaks his hand. It turns out that both of his hands were severely injured. They told him, Floyd, you not boxing anymore. He said, nah, I'm finna box. They said, no, you're not hearing me. The problem is you already beat everybody your size. Listen, Floyd had a bigger issue. He needed to start boxing people that were way bigger than him because everybody his size couldn't hang with him. So if his hands were breaking against smaller guys, against bigger guys, he better have no arms. So Mayweather's team said we need to switch things up. This dude, Mayweather's promoter, said switch things. What now? Everything's saying the same, stupid. He said unless y'all got $750K to exit your contract, it's done. Mayweather said here. He said what? I don't pay you that much. Mayweather said I've been saving up for this day. He said, oh, okay, big dog, you got it. So they devised a plan. Go from Pretty Boy to Money. See, Pretty Boy loved to throw hands, but Money was a defensive specialist. In fact, he's easily considered as the greatest defensive boxer of all time. But that wasn't the only reason he changed his name. Look at that man's face. See, Mayweather was known to talk smack and aggravate people, but this made things even worse because now he's blocking and running away. So people was like, you doing all this talking, but you running. But as he's moving away, he's throwing in some hits here and there. And before you know it, when the fight's over, he lands so many more hits that he always wins. So people would always say, Mayweather, you boring. You not throwing hands for real. But his reply was always, nah, do something about it. So people lost it. They started paying to see him lose. But this strategy was none other than Muhammad Ali's strategy. In his words, he would talk so much trash that people would pay to see him lose. And they would get disappointed every time. So they would come back next time and spend some more money. But the only person winning is Muhammad Ali. So this turns Mayweather into one of the richest athletes of all time. Why? Because of his brittle hands. So don't let anyone ever tell you can't do something.
Floyd's latest investments, such as the reported purchase of buildings in Manhattan, could further exacerbate his existing financial troubles. If the claims about these purchases are true, they would only increase his tax liability, adding more pressure to an already strained financial situation. However, some insiders have denied these claims, suggesting that Floyd's attempts to build an empire might be based more on lies than on solid investments, questioning the legitimacy of his reported purchases and whether they're merely a facade to maintain his lavish image.
For some odd reason, at the beginning of the year, Floyd Mayweather decided to tell us all that he bought a bunch of apartment buildings in Upper Manhattan. Everybody has found out that that wasn't true. Apparently, it's not that hard to figure out who owns property. This is not an indictment on Floyd Mayweather as a boxer. He is one of the best boxers we've ever seen. Anybody who is privy to Floyd Mayweather's antics outside of the ring knows Floyd ain't bought no goddamn apartment buildings in no Upper Manhattan, bro. We knew that when he told us. I'm not sure who Floyd Mayweather thought he was fooling. Nothing about Floyd Mayweather outside of a boxing ring says savvy. I'm sorry. This is the same Floyd Mayweather that 50 Cent told he would donate $50,000 to the charity of his choice to read Harry Potter. He bought $400 million worth of apartment buildings in Upper Manhattan. Come on, Floyd. The people who was living in apartment buildings, the second they heard that Floyd Mayweather bought their building, they was on the phone with property management like, what's really? I will pay $10,000 a month, but I won't pay $10,000 a month to a nigga. Floyd, you can't just do that with Upper Manhattan apartment buildings, bro. Tell lies like that about the projects, man. You gotta do that to the hood, man. Ain't nobody going for that shit in Upper Manhattan, Floyd. You should have knew better than that, my boy. But then again, you are Floyd Mayweather. Oh, man. Anybody with common sense knew that Floyd was in trouble when he started doing boxing exhibition matches. I don't care how much you love making money. Nobody loves getting punched in the face.
Nobody loves that. All of the best fighters, once they get the big payday, not all the best fighters, because some people are just psychopaths like John Bones Jones. Yeah, some people do like to fight, but they are crazy. Once they get that big check, all that fighting shit go out the window, bro. Nobody makes $1 billion boxing, retires, and then starts boxing again. This is not what you do with $1 billion, bro. I don't care who you are.
This reveals a troubling pattern. Floyd Mayweather's spending habits appear reckless and poorly planned. He finds himself in the same position as many athletes who squander their wealth through poor investments, extravagant lifestyles, and a lack of long-term financial planning. His fear of ending up broke, like many of his predecessors, seems to have become a reality. The difference, however, is that Floyd still refuses to acknowledge the root cause of his financial woes. His story has become a cautionary tale about the dangers of mismanaging wealth. Despite making hundreds of millions throughout his career, Floyd's inability to control his spending and manage his finances has placed him in the same precarious situation as many athletes who go broke after their careers end.
Kind of reminded me, there was a small segment in that episode that stated that a lot of fighters believe in their immortality. You know what I mean? We've seen this before. So the question I ask, we have seen this movie before. Boxers traditionally going broke. You know, they start off well, so flamboyant, with all this money and all these cars, and they have businesses they invest in. There's something special, you know, at least in their minds they are. And then after either retirement or near retirement, or after the fight game has left them, traditionally boxers go broke, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm not saying this is going to happen to Floyd Mayweather, but I swear on everything, man, I hope it doesn't happen to Floyd Mayweather, because Floyd Mayweather is going to go down in the halls of history, ladies and gentlemen, as possibly top 3 to top 5 to top 10 of all-time greats. I mean, depending on how you view Floyd Money Mayweather. But however, he is definitely the #1 boxer of my era, ladies and gentlemen, of my time on this earth of watching this sport of boxing. No one has the skill set of Floyd Money Mayweather. Carve it up, chop it up how you like. Get on the debate about his opponents, all this other crap. We can have that for another video. But this man is going to go down in history as an all-time great without a doubt. And I understand the argument for those who may even present the argument that he's the #1 greatest of all time. I see valid points in that argument. I don't agree with that, but I see valid points in that argument. This is a great boxer. We are going to miss Floyd Money Mayweather when he leaves the sport, ladies and gentlemen. But the fact remains, Floyd Money Mayweather and all of his accomplishments and all of the great things he's done inside the ring, however, seems to be playing the same tune or acting in the same movie.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned until next time. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Knockout Chronicles for more content.